Well, well, well.
I'll be damned. How
Look
are you,
who it
man?
is. It's so good to see you. I thought about this literally like last night. I think it's been a year and a half,
It has been. It has been.
which is upsetting. But are you doing well? You look like you're doing well.
Yeah, thanks. I got a little bit of a shave. I mean, well, not too long ago, but I was
Yeah.
a lot more scruffy than I am now.
Well, what about you, man? You've been pretty busy.
I've been doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Making movies. I wrote a book.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It's a collection of short stories, or
Yes. Sorry, it's not a novel, but it's a collection, yeah, of short stories, and I'm
yeah.
really proud of it. And people seem to be enjoying it so far, so that's nice. And by people, I mean my family. But you know what? That's okay. We're on our way.
No, no, no. I'll get a copy and we'll have family and friends.
That's right. And for those of you who are watching, www.hollandproject.com/bookstore, international shipping. Uh, my mom says she's proud. That's all you need to know.
If it's mom approved, then you
It's
know it's gonna be a
mom.
bestseller.
Yeah, I don't need it to be a bestseller. I just need it to be a seller. That's all. I have
I
no.
doubt there are any authors out there, or it might be a small percentage, but I doubt there are any out there who haven't gone through their mother for approval
Yeah. Or my
first,
mom.
or
My mom doesn't approve
Caleb's
very
mom.
many, very many, very many authors. I think
Yeah.
50 Shades of Grey is the last one
Oh, what's
that she gave her seal of approval to. She's like, it's a beach read. It's a beach read. I was like, okay.
yeah, it's a what about the movie? Did she give her approval for the movie?
That I have not heard uh one way or the other. I'm nervous to ask
Yeah,
about the
even more
movie.
nervous to watch it with
For so
her.
yeah, well, forget it. She was like, "Hey, what do you want to watch today?" I was like, "Well, let's scroll past this real quick." All right, let's get into brass tacks because we only have so
Yeah,
much time.
we're here for business.
We're here for business, and that business is the cringe known as anime. We're talking about Chainsaw Man, and before we like really dive into it, I gotta ask, you're 6 episodes in, or are you caught up? You're seven.
I'm seven, so
Okay,
whatever
so
the last episode was, that's what I watched.
great, good, but you haven't read any of it.
So I haven't read any of it. I'm a
We
casual
got a
anime.
filthy casual anime only.
Exactly. I'm a normie. I jump on the bandwagons.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I assume before evidence is presented. So
I bet you haven't
I'm one
even
of those
seen
guys that
JoJo's.
say it again.
I bet you haven't even seen JoJo's. Oh,
I've
okay, all
watched
right,
JoJo's.
okay,
I've
okay.
well, okay. So there's a conversation, and I think I'll make a lot of people mad when I say this. I've only seen up to the third the third
Okay.
Joseph Joestar. He's
Joseph the third, Joseph Joestar.
Joseph the third Joestar.
So you're not all
Where
right. Well,
he's Japanese or
yeah, yeah, that's very
yeah,
good.
Josuke.
Yosuke. All
Yeah.
right. Well, this isn't about JoJo's. I want to know because there's different ways we can tackle this. There's
Mhm.
like the writing, like the narrative part of which is what I think makes it really special, and then there's also the production value, which is I think what a lot of people are really like jumping on because when you look at it, it's obviously beautiful. But I want to know for you as somebody who is like in certain circles, this has been like hyped up for years, this show, and now that it's finally out and like it seems to be sort of like people are have different feelings about it, but you know nothing about it. I think I showed you the trailer in France,
You may have.
and then I
No,
was like,
I think you prepped me for it. You said, "Oh,
yeah,
have you been hearing about Chainsaw Man coming out?" And I was like, "No."
no, what the fuck are you talking about? So I want to know your thoughts on it so far, like what it is, what is this thing, this
Just
man of
overall
chainsaws?
thoughts on.
Yeah, just hit me with it.
Well, first, you read the manga, or you read the manga?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So I guess I can go. Tatsuki Fujimoto is in he's a very prolific, he's my age. I think he's like 30 years old. And he's already like he's like got a bunch of one shots, which is the manga equivalent of a short story out. He had a serial before Chainsaw Man called Fire Punch, which was in Shonen Jump, and it's fucking insane. And I remember reading that and being like, I cannot believe that this man has a project in Shonen Jump, and it's so bleak and horrible and disgusting and violent and like all of these things. And then that ended because it wasn't selling well. And then
I guess because it was bleak and hopeless.
yeah, because it was like, holy Jesus Christ, how depressing can you possibly be? And it wasn't as funny. And that's why I think Chainsaw Man is a success, because it's doing a lot of the same things that he does, which he plays on genre tropes. He really likes subverting your expectations
Right.
of like what a shonen thing can even be, but also just narratively with his characters. And so, but what I think Fire Punch forgot to do was be funny. uh, and then Chainsaw Man came out. I've been reading it since chapter 1, just like week to week. We're now in, I think, 112 chapters deep or something like that.
How old is it?
How old is it? Since like, I think like, I don't know. Let me look up. It's a couple years by now, because there was a break after part 1 ended. So it's definitely been a couple years. But so I've been a super mega fan, and when I found out Mappa was doing it, I was like, hell yeah, all in.
Yo, Mappa's been on a roll.
Mappa's been crushing it.
Yeah.
And we said, yeah, Mappa, fucking Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, all these amazing just like tentpole shows.
Yeah.
And they're crushing it. They look beautiful. Which is sad, because you consider the fact that all those employees are probably overworked and underpaid. But we're not talking. Who cares about them?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about
that. But so for you coming in mostly blind, what was your sort of reaction to what you've seen so far?
Starting from the trailers, because I mean, Chainsaw Man, I thought was a ridiculous title.
Yes.
with no prior knowledge, I thought, Chainsaw Man. I mean, it was ridiculous enough for me to think this might be a roller coaster, and I think the first trailer, the visuals, the snippets of action that we got, I thought, whoa, this might just be on the vanguard of originality right now within anime.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of other shows are following suit after that. But my overall impression now, since watching it, since now 7 episodes in, is this, my buddy put it best, this is the resurgence of an anime golden age. If there wasn't one before, I think shows such as Chainsaw Man, Bleach, Demon Slayer, My Hero, later seasons of My Hero are all kind of introducing this new wave of anime where there's this heavy Attack on Titan, where there's this heavy emphasis on the visuals, on the fighting, on the fluidity of fighting, on the ways in which you can tell a story through 2D animation and to a certain extent, because it's still CGI that they're using in Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, there's a little bit of it.
Those first 2 episodes, which I think is a tasteful amount of CGI. I think some shows overdo it.
Well, it's a tool. You know what I mean? And there is this like debate online about like 2D is best, and then if you are doing CG, you're a failure, and it's bad, and it looks bad no matter what. But people have been using CG in the medium since the 80s. Like, we're never going to get an Akira again, which is this like big budgeted feature film that's only cell shaded 2D animation. It's not financially viable and feasible to ever do that, because those don't make money. Your favorite Ghibli movies have a little bit, you know what I mean? Like all of these, and like there's so many great examples of tiny little, like if you've ever seen Cowboy Bebop, which is like one of the best anime ever made, all that shit with the hyper gates and the spaceships, that's all CG. You can't fucking draw that shit to make it look that cool. You know what I mean? Like,
or Gundam,
fucking Gundam. So like the fact that it's like, I think you put it right, tastefully, like little like flourishes to help make the motion
not Berserk
fluid.
season 2
No.
for anybody.
No, it's not
a reference.
Oh my god, no, it is not. It's much better than that.
Yeah.
But positive.
So my feelings towards Chainsaw Man are, this is a great show. I think it's not only great because of the storytelling, it's super fun, it's super high octane, adrenaline rush. but it's also, at least what it's seeming to me and to my buddy, is that this is anime gaining towards its peak. Not that it's reached its peak, and I think we have yet to see anime at its peak, but
Yeah.
in terms of the societal influence, the means of production, the the emphasis on better storytelling. Because one thing with anime that it does really well, I think overall, is it's recycling of tropes. It's
Mm-hmm.
recycling of archetypes. It's recycling of motifs in anime stories. Is, yeah, you get the hero archetype, but every time you see a new show that comes out, or most of the time, I find that you see a new show, especially such as Chainsaw Man, there's a little twist that they add to it, and it's not so much. I don't like to say that it's a subversion of expectation, but it's something that it's a different angle
Yeah.
that they're approaching a character from. And once we get into the more nuance of the story, I'll elaborate on that. But that's my overall impression of the show. I think it's going to be, I think it's the we. What am I trying to say? It's great. It's great.
It's just great. No, I agree with you. And it's so frustrating in a way because really everything that you're talking about I think is so spot on, and it's burning me inside to not be able to talk about like what's coming
Yeah,
soon.
because you're the only one that watches
I'm the
it.
only one. I've read all the secret scrolls. Um but no, you're right, because for so long anime was like the big three, right? Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. So the big four.
Yeah,
And then it's like that was just the standard for so long. And so much of like what came out, I want to say like in between when those shows were really popular in like the early 2010s, was just like minor variations on the same theme. And then you had like Attack on Titan kind of like blew everything open in a way where like so many people were watching it that had never like seen
yeah.
anime before. And then, Netflix, when that streaming service really took off and like anime was just like there and you could just like watch it.
Actually,
It
that's a really good example what you brought up, from Dragon Ball to, I think One Piece is older than Naruto, right?
They're all coming from the late 90s. Obviously Dragon Ball has like been around
Yeah,
since like
yeah,
forever, but yeah, Naruto and One Piece are kind of similarly old, and then like I think Bleach is like right around that time too.
yeah. So either way you split it, you see this sort of different angle they're approaching the main character with, where Goku, synonymous with Naruto, but with more, Naruto had a bit more dimension, and same
Mhm.
with Luffy, as opposed to Goku. As each generation comes up,
Yeah.
it's a different. They're giving the MCs more dimensions. Now, there's an argument that could be made about Deku and My Hero Academia, but
Uh,
but we're not talking about that
we're
show.
not talking about that fucking show,
Yeah.
but this is a perfect segue to talk about Denji, and I think this is a really good way to get into the writing, which I think is so strong.
Mhm.
Um, because with shonen, there's this idea of like sort of like in the same way that, and like stay with me, that like Disney princesses have their like trait where it's like they have their desire, they have their I want. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like and it's sort of singularly driving like the story. It's like I want to be the pirate king, and the story is all coming from that desire. I
Yeah.
want to be the Hokage. I want to get my hunter's license to find my dad. I want to get my and my brother's bodies back. You know what I mean? It's like the genesis of the story is desire.
Yeah.
And for Denji, who's the main character of Chainsaw Man, his desire is what is his desire?
Okay. So I will
Here
say this about Chainsaw Man: it
we
is
go.
soft hentai.
But it's not though. It's so Denji is a 16-year-old kid who has not lived a sort of any kind of like life that you could sort of
Are we
describe
are
as
we
good.
are we warning for any spoilers right now, or
I guess we are. I guess it's like I feel like if you're watching
if you've
this, you're
made it
like,
this far,
if you made it this
spoiler alert.
far, okay, now we're gonna really talk about it. And so go watch all of this show, and then come back. He's lived a horrible life, and he has no sort of like formal education. He has no family. He is like
Yeah,
sort of been reduced to his base instincts, where everything is like finding fucking food is like a tiny piece of moldy bread is like that's his goal, is like just survive. So when he's afforded an opportunity to like reach and want for more, what is it?
Yeah,
What is a
reach.
16-year-old kid who's never had anything is like, I want to eat and I want to get laid. He wants to get laid, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And
I mean, I get his motives. I get
yeah.
it's the way in which the show frames it. I mean, especially if you've seen that last episode. That last episode was I think I read the comments on Crunchyroll where
Yeah.
somebody said, "I swear to God, this is a I've seen this scene, but I've seen this scene before in a hentai video I was watching."
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult because um a big turnoff that I hear from people, because I have like, there are like all these different kinds of shows that I love
Right.
that you want to like talk about and show people, but like that it has like anime has a like stigma to it where it's like really weird and perverted, and like there
Yeah.
are certain aspects of especially like costume design, like a lot of like these costumes are very like revealing in a lot of these shows for the women. Um and the men too, you know, like Goku's like
Oh
always taking
yeah,
off his fucking
Goku's like
shirt, and he's like
ripped.
fucking ripped as shit, and he's
I
like
used to go
ignoring.
to the gym and and people said, what kind of definition are you aiming for when you do those high repetitions? I go, I don't know. Have you seen Dragon Ball Z?
I'm
The
trying to
most
get Super Saiyan 2 level
unrealistic.
of of
Yeah.
swole. There's like this, sorry, this is a sidebar. There's this like MMA fighter. I don't remember his name, but he's always doing these like anime poses. And
Yeah. Yeah.
he looks like an idiot, but then he just like rocks these, he just like beats the shit out
Yeah.
of these people. And it's like you can't really tell him anything because he's like
He
one of the most.
speaks. He speaks in anime too. I think I remember seeing a clip of him and he's just looking at his opponent. He's all beat up and he goes, "I don't care if I die. I don't care." Holy
That's
shit.
such a, yeah, that's such an anime thing. It's like, and that's the thing is like all these hot dudes started like being like vocally into it, and so now it's like cool. Like Michael B.
That's
Jordan.
what I mean. That's what I mean. That this is
Yeah,
the sort of this
we're
golden
in a
age of
golden age
anime where we have
for
so
weebs.
much of a yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
ever like have you seen Creed? The Michael B. Jordan, he's like the
Oh,
Rocky
the
movie.
I'm thinking anime is like what
Oh no, no,
anime?
sorry. There's like this
The
scene where
Megalobox.
he's like
Yeah.
training, and he's like kind of running with like one of his arms like down, and then
Oh
in
yeah.
an interview he was like, yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen Dragon Ball Z, but I was channeling when Gohan's fighting Cell, and he's just like arm broken. I was like, you are a movie star. What are you talking about?
Michael B. Jordan, I
Yeah.
no doubt he watches anime, but I he did something similar with Killmonger and he had the armor and it
Mm.
looked like Vegeta. It was
Yeah,
modeled after Vegeta's.
yeah.
And then he went on into an interview and he pronounced Naruto's name so wrong.
What did
I
he
think he
say?
said Naruto.
Naruto. That's a lot of like that's how people in America say it.
Is it
Naruto.
actually?
I think it makes more sense for English speakers to stress that middle syllable. And so that's why,
But even the English dub says Naruto.
well, they know a little more in Texas, where all of this shit, which is so weird to me, by the way, because all,
Texas,
no, I'm not kidding. That's where Funimation is like
the
based in
epitome of
America.
America.
Like the localization of the anime. Like if you want to be a voice actor, a lot of people say move to Texas
Yeah, that's where you go. Yeah,
because
but
that's like where all the dubbing happens. So it's so weird that it's like the very
the
opposite of
majority
what
of
you think of
Americans
Texas would
Naruto,
be.
but
Yeah.
King America is they're saying it right.
Naruto. Yeah, that was one of my first shows, really. Like I
Yeah.
remember when it premiered on Toonami, and I watched like all of it every week.
Oh
That's
yeah,
so crazy.
yeah, yeah. Toonami, Adult Swim.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't have that in Canada.
They don't. What did you?
No.
Where? How did you watch your shit?
I was raised in the
Oh, that's
States.
right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're a
but I've
sort
been
of
in
global
Canada for the last
citizen.
8 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have a bit of worldly knowledge.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about me.
It doesn't matter, but
We digress. Denji, his desires.
and that's why I love it, because there's a, I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler, but there's like all those shows we were talking about, Naruto, One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, the arc of the story is like not just their character, but the entire narrative of the whole piece is sort of inherently intertwined with that desire.
Yeah.
And Denji gets his desire fulfilled in like episode 4 of this show, and goes on this existential crisis of like, that's it? Like I got this thing that I wanted and it actually doesn't mean anything, and I just feel so empty inside. And so that's why I feel like it's using what you were saying. It's putting twists on these familiar tropes, and it's like Fujimoto's like really pushing this idea of what this character, like he's honoring the reality of like these characters and treating them as if they're really people, and that's what I find is so interesting to watch,
Yeah.
because that is the foundation of any good narrative, is like, oh, I really care about these characters and I'm invested in where they're going, and then on top of that you get the most amazing fight choreography you've ever seen, and like all this like crazy shit's happening, and like those explosions and blood
Yeah.
and gore and fucking guts and like people
That's
screaming
why
and
we're here.
yeah, that's it's like, oh, but like underneath that, sorry, you've
But
been
I'll
wanting
add
to say
on.
something.
I'll add on to that, because when okay, if you can get past his desire is to feel tits.
Yeah, he
That's
just
his
wants
desire.
to touch some boobs, which is
But
fine
which is fine.
because he's
Which
just
is
like
fine.
consensual. It's
When you're
consensual.
it's consensual,
Yeah.
and that's exactly one of the things that he discovers as well.
Yeah.
But and coming at it from a psychological point of view, yes, that makes sense for a 16-year-old kid who's been deprived of. I think he was in a gang, and so you're surrounded by men
Yeah,
all the
the
time. And you're
Yakuza
surrounded by
like
monsters.
kept him
And,
as like a pet.
yeah, who wouldn't want to just put their hands on some tiggo bitties? But 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 what's really interesting, because how I saw it, if you get past this sort of okay, he the content of his
Yeah.
desire, if you get past that, you actually see that his desire compared to the other MCs is very small.
Mhm.
It's not very big, and I think that's part of the new angle they're taking with with this particular MC. Where when I was watching, I thought, wow, it kind of in a way sends a message to people, or I think it should in a way send a message to people that it doesn't have to be very big what you're going after, right? As a start, it doesn't have to be very big. He just wants to feel some tits. That's all he wants to do, and he's got his mind set on it, and he's pretty gun ho about it. But afterwards, once he by episode 2 or 3,
Mhm.
he it's not from the person that he wants. He figures out that, oh, I've gotten this thing, but it's not from, I can't pronounce her name, but she has pink hair and
Makima.
cool eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try and say it.
Makima-san.
Makima-san.
Makima Mami.
From Makima Mami. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So when he gets it from Power, who is hilarious, it's not truly reciprocated. It's Power is it's tit for tat.
Yeah.
And I think as a first time sort of shock, whoa. But then when Makima introduces him, right, someone that he's pretty much desired, what I'm leading to is that the tits is it's the tip of the iceberg of what he really wants, and I think that's some form of a relationship. Now, it could be the fact that he really wants a mom since he's been deprived of his parents, and that's now we're getting into some really weird territory.
Really weird shit.
But if you want to take it that route, then I think it's still a really interesting take on an MC.
Well, I think it's just like human connection, or like connection of any kind. You know what I mean? It's like that desire to like be seen as a person and have like a human relationship, which he just hasn't had since he was like a little kid, and his dad died. And that's sort of funneled through this like idea of desire, like carnal desire, because he's a fucking 16-year-old guy. But then even like in the own, because you're totally right about like the scale of it being so small and personal, which is more relatable to an audience
and so
than
trivial in compared to what Ichigo or Goku or
right, exactly,
what Naruto are fighting for. I find it's in a funny weird way it's more grounded.
It's completely, but even compared to you want to take those comparisons to the other shows, but even the other characters in his own show, like Aki, which is like the Sasuke of this show, I think better written, but we can get into that. Is like he wants to be the one who would be the protagonist in any other show. He wants to kill the big bad gun devil that killed all these people. The gun devil murdered all these people in the world, and all the countries are trying to get him. And so that's him. He's like, I'm gonna fucking do this. And he like yells at Shinji the first time he meets. Is like, if you're not serious about this, you're gonna fucking die. And then they have the best fight scene in the show, which is he just starts. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's amazing. Even even Power, who is an amazing character. You're right. She's so funny. A little bit of trivia. Fujimoto, he says that he modeled her personality off of Eric Cartman from South Park. So it's like this like very like beautiful girl, but with the personality of Eric Cartman,
Oh
which
my
I think
gosh, she's so obnoxious. I love her.
yeah,
She's so
I love
funny.
her so much. She's initially, sort of like she's a sort of not a person, she's like a demon.
Yeah.
But she is also like has this desire of like just like wanting to like save her cat. And
Actually,
it's
could you explain what a fiend is? Because I still
let's do it.
am a
Let's
little
go.
lost.
So this is a world where they're called devils exist. Hell is confirmed to be real. And from hell, these creatures called demons come, and they're
You
based
heard
out
it
of,
here first, atheists.
yeah, atheists. Why don't you stop reading manga and start reading the Bible?
Yeah, the
um,
real books.
the real books from Christ, our Lord and Savior. All right. So demons that are sort of born out of people's fears exist, and they kill people, they eat people, and so the devil hunters are it's their job to
Right.
keep the people safe, the public safe from these creatures. A fiend is a devil who enters somehow. I don't really understand if we even know how mechanically it works, but they can enter the corpse, a recently deceased person, a human being's corpse, and they can sort of like inhabit it and bring it back to life, and it creates this like new sort of creature called a fiend. And they have their powers that they had when they were a demon or devil or whatever, but they have like this human body, so they're still susceptible to, they can die, they can get stabbed or shot or whatever.
Yeah.
And so Power is a fiend. She's the blood fiend. She was the blood devil, and then she found this corpse of this hot girl, I guess, and is now Power's its own thing. She's the blood fiend, and
Yeah.
she's loud and gross and obnoxious and really funny, and I love her.
And the devils are all empowered by people's fear of them.
Yes,
So
exactly.
something like the blood devil. Because I'm afraid of blood. I'm
Yeah.
actually, yeah. When I see blood, I'm kind of a little nauseous.
Right.
But I think, wow, that would be a pretty powerful devil.
Yeah, and we see like the whole range of them. Like the first one we see is the tomato devil, and it's like really easy to kill. And it's just this like gross thing with all these eyes on it. And then, but like there's the gun devil, which is this like massive fucking mass
Yeah.
murdering machine, because it's not just guns, it's all the things guns are associated with, and the fear
Right.
of death and murder and violence. What have we've seen? The leech, we've seen the bat, we've
The
seen
zombie.
and how dope. And now we're sort of moving into like the show as like a production technical thing. How dope was the Infinity Devils design or the Eternity Devils design?
My buddy and I, we were right before it was confirmed what it was,
Yeah.
because he doesn't read the manga either.
Mhm.
But we were debating, what devil do you think it is? And he said he thinks it's a fear of hotels. So the hotel devil.
I mean, hey, I definitely have a fear of hotel beds.
Well, when you're going through those liminal spaces
Yeah,
and
yeah.
but I mean that it makes all the more sense that it's the Eternity Devil. But that was sick. Even I was kind of freaked out. I was man, they keep turning into these. They keep going upstairs to go downstairs, left to go right.
Yeah, the
And then they
Escher
go through the
staircase.
rooms. Oh, the design,
Yeah.
the production. I mean, just the set design for, I guess that, would it be called set design if it's originally from a manga? The design of the environments in the story,
Yeah.
and especially added with in conjunction with the visuals for anime.
Mm-hmm.
It's when they went from that one room when they went into the hotel room and you see through the window the other hotel room.
Yeah.
And if you went through that door, you just went into this. How they had it all mapped out was like I was in a FromSoft game. And
Oh, dude, Mappa would be so cool to adapt like the Souls games or whatever, or like Bloodborne
I
or
know
something. But no, like
they need to collab.
a lot of these designs are straight from the panels of the manga, but then you have like Fujimoto, when he writes, he's very clearly like influenced by cinema, specifically like American cinema. And the opening theme song of the
Yeah.
show, every frame is like a screen grab from another movie. There's like all of these like, blink and you'll miss it little like call outs
Yeah.
to all these like big movies that he loves. But what I love is instead of like a typical sort of production style, the show is shot like a movie. Like it's very cinematic. And
That,
and it really takes like these beautiful like there's like all this like crazy action and stuff, and it's all so well choreographed, but then there will be these moments of people just like making breakfast for like a minute, and it's like it's so like the way that the people move, it feels so natural, but it's still like theatrical
yeah,
because you're watching fiction, and like the colors are great, the lighting, like that first episode, the particle effects of the sun, I was like, oh my god, how much money did they
yeah,
spend on this shit?
yeah,
Because it looks so beautiful, and that's, I think, like, because so much of anime is so cheaply produced, even ones I love, you can look at it and be like, oh, this looks kind of not great. I do think like a part of like what you were saying, why we're in this golden age, is I don't know if it's just that technology is so much better, or people are just more talented, or like what's going on, but so much of it from this past decade alone just looks so fantastic.
and that's what that goes back to. I'm gonna keep saying it. This golden age where shows like Chainsaw Man and Bleach, they're these
Mhm.
25-minute movies,
Yeah.
and I think if, I mean, you're always gonna have anime regardless, but I think this next wave of shonen anime shows, if they don't meet that, I don't I don't know how successful they're going to thrive.
Yeah.
I mean, these shows are really leading the way for. I mean, I just saw the trailer for Hell's Paradise,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's
and
another
even
one that's a
that's
really good.
looking, yeah, even that's looking on par with, maybe not on par with Chainsaw Man and Bleach, but it's up there in
The
terms
bar
of
has definitely been
production
raised.
quality.
Yeah,
Yeah, the bar is being
think
raised.
yeah, there's a standard that's been set, and it feels like, yeah, I don't know, it really does feel like, I'm trying to think, there was like Bones was like the big one for a while. I'm just talking about like studios, but it really is like,
Oh yeah, with Full
Mappa
Metal
is
and
like,
yeah,
here we go. Like when Sunrise started making all like the Gundam shows that look fantastic, you know what I mean? Like Mappa's like, no, like Jujutsu Kaisen looks fucking great. Chainsaw Man looks, it's just looks like unlike anything else. And then
yeah,
yeah, even like the new Bleach. I don't know if you've been, if that's what you're talking about, like the new
yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The Thousand
Um,
Year Blood War arc.
I'm
I
like,
watched I
wow,
watched 300 episodes of the original
yeah,
a second time just to catch up with.
wow, damn,
I
bro.
because I saw that, well, when they said that Bleach was continuing, I thought, this is why I stayed
Huh?
alive so long.
Yeah, this is it. And once this is over, there'll be nothing left.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
okay, so we have like 5 minutes left just because I'm cheap and I have the free version of Zoom.
Oh,
Where do
gotcha.
you think, based on everything that we've seen so far, where do you think it's going? I really want to know what you think is going to come up next.
As I said, I'm a casual anime watcher,
That's
but I
okay.
think just from a casual point of view, I see them running into the Gun Devil, and and maybe not in its strongest form,
Mhm.
or maybe in its actual form. Maybe they run into the Gun Devil as a fiend. That'd be pretty interesting, because I'm thinking that the fiends are their lesser versions. It's not their most powerful form. So
Mhm.
I think we might get a chance to see Power as an actual devil in her
Hmm.
true form, and she's just ridiculously powerful. But we either see the Gun Devil like that, or maybe the Gun Devil is, I'm thinking, one of three things. We see the Gun Devil in its entirety in a lesser form, or we find out that the Gun Devil is working with public safety.
Okay. I'm trying really hard to not give anything away. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
that's
be
right, because
so
you've
close.
seen it.
I just know everything. I know everything. And what do you think? Where do you think of, trying to ask the question, but not in a leading way. At what point in the story, if ever, do you think Denji will achieve his goal, his new
I
goal?
don't I don't think he will.
You don't think he will ever?
No, I don't think Makima-san is interested in Denji at all.
Okay.
Well, if his goal right now is, it's certainly not the Gun Devil,
Hmm.
and I think he's going to end up finding a new goal, something about his past.
Hmm.
But his original goal isn't going to. That's why I'm thinking that Gun Devil is working with public safety
Mm.
in some way. Like they can't just. There's going to be something where they just can't kill the Gun Devil.
Hmm.
Um, and we've already gotten an instance where they said the devils are smarter than before.
Yeah, that
So
was a
it's
throwaway
making,
line in one of the episodes.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're getting smarter.
and stuff like that I don't find, or yeah, it's definitely a throwaway line, but I find that's huge to what happens next.
No, of course.
I
They're
think,
buried clues throughout. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I think the reason why everyone's looking for the Gun Devil, everyone's super powerful. I mean, they're not super powerful, but I mean, it just rings weird that they haven't found him by now,
Hmm.
or it by now.
No, that's a good point. That's a
So
good
I think
point.
Makima-san has an idea about the Gun Devil. I think they are working with the Gun Devil, and I think they've been waiting for someone like Denji, who might be able to take him out.
We'll see.
But I don't think he's going to achieve his goal of feeling her tits.
That remember, those are the stakes of the show.
Those are the stakes right now for Denji, at least.
Dude, thanks so much for chatting. I know you got to bounce. I'm so glad you're watching the show and loving it, because ever since I discovered the manga, it's the only manga that I have all of the volumes of, like physical volumes of, because I just love it so much, and I really want more people to read it, because I think it's a great story, and I think that this is a medium that deserves to be kind of experienced by more people, because it's not a genre, it's, you know, a medium, and there's something for everybody. There's so many different kinds, and so we're gonna check back. I'm gonna check back in with you in a few weeks when the season's over. I think we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 5 more.
5 more. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
let's do this again.
we'll see how you feel.
Okay. So you know where it might end.
I have a pretty good idea of the cutoff point. Yeah, I think so.
Gotcha.
So
I can't believe it's only 12 episodes. That's inhumane. How dare they make me
I
wait?
know, I'm disgusted with them. How dare they have time to see their families and
I know.
eat and rest and relax. All right, buddy.
Hey, thank you so much, man. It was good
Dude,
seeing you.
anytime. It was really good seeing you as well. And I'll talk to you soon, okay?